On that note, welcome to Crossplay Conversations, live at PAX West. We have some lovely guests here, but before I introduce our lovely guests, I'd like to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jacob McCourt, and I have my co-host here, Joseph Hooper.
Hello, first time, long time, happy to be there. Be there and here.
And here, there and here. This is the second time we've done this show from this exact location. I think we did it a little bit later last time, and there was a beautiful sunset that just happened as we were recording.
Yep.
It's just going to be bright, so hope you enjoy the view that we've got here. I'd love to introduce our two guests. First, from the Indie Informer, Jill Grodt. Hi.
Hello, everyone. I am from the Indie Informer. I'm supposed to tell you something about myself, I've been told.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do.
I write about video games.
Yep.
Exclusively about indie games on my website, The Indie Informer. You can go check us out. If you don't love indie games, you should go check us out anyway, because you should love indie games.
You should.
And Jill was on one of our episodes talking about some of the best indie games that are coming out in 2024 earlier this year. So you may have seen Jill, but if not, go check out the Indie Informer. Go check out that episode. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Fun fact about Jill. Jill has played every indie game ever.
Yeah,
it's
Every
pretty
single
impressive.
one.
The only living person to ever do that. So congratulations. Yes.
You're on the Indie Council as well, which is
I
a
am
great
indeed
podcast.
Oh my gosh, she's better at promoting my stuff than I am. I am on the Indie Council. We meet and talk about all things indie all the time. It is me. It is Mike Towndrow, Jenny Wyndham, Janet Garcia. It's a lot of fun.
It's a very good podcast.
It's a lot of fun to put on. I'm glad that you like it.
Of course. And for the first time on the show, Trina Smith, hello.
Hello.
What you do?
I am from Gamerheads podcast, and I also write about video games.
Heck yeah.
We do mostly indie games as well.
Yeah.
And I just started like 4-ish months ago, I think. So just kind of getting my feet wet and starting to get those reviews out, and PAX has been great. So
This is your first PAX, right?
This is my first PAX.
Whoa.
Please tell us what that is like. Is it what you everything you expected?
Yeah.
A lot of things you didn't.
Yeah, everything I expected, a lot of things I didn't. Roger prepared me for a lot of stuff, so definitely was on par with everything he said. So
Did he prepare you for how smelly it was?
It wasn't really all that smelly Friday and Saturday.
Nice,
Monday,
nice.
it was really bad.
Yeah, there's been some smells today for
I
sure.
walked through something before, and I was like, I'm going the other way.
What did you walk through?
I imagined it was like a viscous material.
I don't even know how to describe the smell. It was bad.
Well, you know what wasn't bad? All the games we played at PAX West.
Look at this
Wow.
pro.
Segue. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of our favorite games that we played on the show floor. So I think I'll start with our guests. So Trina or Jill, I'd love to know maybe start with one game that you played on the show floor that you're like, heck yeah, more people need to find out about this game.
Should we fight each other for the privilege?
How are we going to fight?
Fight.
I want to shout out a couple of things because there are a lot of great indies on the floor today, and yesterday, and the day before that, but not the day before that.
Nope.
I really want to shout out God Save Birmingham.
Okay.
Because it's so bizarre, and it might be specifically made just for me.
Okay.
That's the thing. I don't know how many people I can recommend it to, even though I want everyone to play it.
What is it?
Okay, so prepare yourself. It is a survival zombie game
Okay.
set in the 14th century Birmingham.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are, like, the setup is you're this sort of medieval peasant in Birmingham, and you wake up one morning, everybody's zombies, and they have a great setup, and I love when you can do this for a demo. Oh, it's just like the sun rises, it's a lovely, charming day in the countryside, the birds are chirping, and people are sort of, it's early, so they're rambling around a bit, and then you kind of have one cross the camera, and it's just this like gaping wound, and these like unseeing eyes staring off into this, and you're like, oh, everyone is zombies except for me.
And you liked this game?
I love this
Okay,
game.
okay.
It's so fun. So you wake up, and apparently you've had a hard night because you're bleeding, and you're starving to death.
It's
and
first person or third person?
It is a third person, actiony, crafting, in the future cooking situation where you, like, I start in a nice cozy little room, and it's got some eggs. I'm just eating raw because that's how you do.
Yep.
And then the person who's like guiding me through this experience is like, you need to leave the room. I'm like, no, I'm safe in the room. I know there are zombies out there.
There's raw eggs here.
I've got eggs. I've got bandages. I'm safe. No, so I left, and I'm armed with the pitchfork, which is perfect. And then zombies are around, so you have to like survive. And I initially was just like wildly, pitchfork, get out of here, get away from me. But there's actually some strategy to it. Like if you go after their arms or any kind of limb, those will just pop off very quickly.
Okay.
So like,
Good.
and the heads will come off. So it's like, okay, before you completely murder them, like, okay, if they don't have arms, if they don't have mouths, they can't really get you. So that's probably the better way to do it, rather than like pitchforking them through the stomach, and now they're like stuck on your pitchfork, like right in front of your
Whoa.
face.
Okay.
You're like, get off. Kick. And then the sort of idea is you're supposed to survive. You're supposed to get out. You're the only person, I think, who is not a zombie.
Mhm.
So I didn't get to play this because I was busy like barreling through all the hordes and like trying to get into a church, which I thought was going to be safe, but it wasn't.
Yep.
And in the future you'll be able to like craft stuff. So there will be multiple kind of end games. So one of them you can like perhaps build a carriage that will get you out of town, but you have to like collect the materials, and you have to get it to your workshop and like actually build it without dying, you know. Or I think in the future too, they said they were bringing cooking to it, so my eggs won't be raw.
I didn't realize you were a survival game person.
I love a good survival game.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
super into it. And anytime I'm like wildly trying to get all these zombies off me, and my person's getting tired, my person's getting hungry, and I'm like, I don't care right now. Just kick the zombie, please.
Is this just a PC title?
I think for right now, they're like super, I think they're in alpha.
Okay.
They might even be in pre-alpha.
Okay.
So, possibly. Everybody go check this out. Go check it out on Steam. Wishlist it. And maybe we'll get more.
That was called God Save the Queen in Birmingham? What was it called?
The Queen
God
in Birmingham.
Save Birmingham.
God
We
Save
can call it
Birmingham.
that. We
Is
can
this-
start a new thing.
Is this Birmingham, Alabama?
No.
Okay.
Like England, probably.
All right.
But like maybe for the sequel, we pitch
Because
that.
I mean, I saw the title and I was like, Birmingham, Alabama probably does need saving. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what they're doing over there,
Could be
but
zombies.
I would believe it if
Yep.
it was modern day Birmingham, Alabama.
It was so funny because they said that they picked Birmingham because it's a known place. You say the name, and people are like, okay, I've heard of that city. But it's actually really well documented in historical records, so they can recreate the historical medieval Birmingham for you to run around in and have this ridiculous escapade. So I love it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Trina, what was one of your faves today?
Today or just like
Just in general, over PAX,
Okay.
actually.
In the last 5 minutes.
You're like, I played nothing today.
I played games today. I've talked about this with some of you already, but Spyro has been my favorite game.
Yes.
And it is essentially a game that's more of a celebration of life for people that have Alzheimer's. And so essentially you follow this character named Bernard through the game, and you're helping him remember things, but also not feel so alone. And you have different choices that you have to make. And the part of the demo that I got to play, they told me it was the more intense part of the game. And essentially, like, the walls started to disappear and the room started to disappear. It started getting really dark, and all of a sudden the lights were just gone, and Bernard screams out like, I need more time, and I was just like bawling. It was so powerful and emotional, and everyone needs to play this game.
Joseph, did you play the demo on this one? Because I did
played
too.
This at PAX East.
Okay.
And I didn't have. I wasn't prepped for anything.
Yeah.
So I finished the demo, and I'm like, my eyes are watering up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you do to me? I was not ready for this. But it is a quite beautiful game, and it definitely gets the themes across. Maybe a little too well.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
opinion. But yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It truly reminded me weirdly. I know it's not first person, but sort of Gone Home. You find a lot of objects, and Bernard will, go and touch the same object 3 times,
Yeah.
and then each time the memory is different. He's like, the first time he's like, here's exactly what happened. The second time he's like, I think I remember. Like a dog bowl. There's a dog bowl. He talks about how much he loved his dog. And then he's like, I wonder where my dog is. And then the third time he looks at the bowl, he's actually calling for his dog. And the dog is not alive. It's
Right.
dead.
Yeah.
I did the demo, and like you, I was sort of devastated. We're Dev. I believe they're from Montreal. The game is launching on September 20th. And she asked how it was, and I'm just like, I don't have any words for you. And that
Right.
never happens. I have words for everything.
Yeah.
I know.
I went in and I was like bubbly and happy and like, oh, this is nice. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. And I left like, okay, well, thanks for letting me play your game. Yeah, and you said in the beginning, like, I want to pick on something you said because I like picking on you as much as
Yeah,
possible.
go on.
The first memory, because you do get a lot of different memories of the same thing in different states, are not true necessarily. Because the character is an unreliable narrator, which I remember very distinctly because, as you said, the studio somewhat French.
Yep.
And the person I was speaking to was the loveliest person ever, but unreliable apparently is very hard to say in a French accent. So I got to translate that. Thank you. But yeah, so it starts out, the one I remember distinctly was like him fishing with his father, because he remembers in the first memory going fishing, having a great time, getting the catch, everything's great. And like at the same time, the surroundings, the music, everything about this game is supporting what's happening narratively. So you have a lovely time on the beach with your dad, catching a fish, and the house is sunny and bright and beautiful, and then you just suddenly, like, after that memory, you just wake up in a different place in the house, and now the house is just a little darker, and then you go back to that same place, and now you went fishing, but you didn't catch the fish, and you can see Bernard sort of like working through what, like, reality, like he can tell something's off.
Yep.
He's like, did it? I thought there was a fish, and then he snaps back into a different reality, and it's darker, and like you said, the walls are crumbling away, and like the darkness is encroaching, and then they didn't even go. He was just like, I don't feel like going fishing today, and he kind of lives with the regret of not having gone fishing with his dad, even though
He was a child when it happened.
he was a child.
Yeah.
And it's likely he did go. So it's like he's dealing with all these things about reality and the consequences and the guilt of things that may or may not have happened. And as a player, you don't know the difference. You don't know if anything has actually happened or not. So you want to believe that the first one is the true one because it's the happiest. But I wonder as we go through the game if we're going to discover if we're going to get any solid answers or perhaps more thematically on brand. We just never really know.
And the one additional cool part is, obviously the game is a lot about memory. If you visited the booth, they were taking folks' memories, and if you wrote them down in a notebook, there's a chance that your memory might end up as an Easter egg in the game.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was sort of rad for folks that are coming through to PAX.
Nice.
So again, that was Spiral.
Spiral.
I think it's PC for sure, September 20th. It's like right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the date is September 20th.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
think
the
you're right.
20th because the 21st is World Alzheimer's Awareness Day.
Oh,
So that's why they're
I
doing it
love
on
it.
the 20th.
nice. Hoopman,
What's up?
what'd you play?
I played a lot of stuff, but the one I'm going to talk about today is a little game called Croak.
Yeah.
So Croak fire. All right. So think about Cuphead, art style, cartoony, jazzy art style is a word I could use. And then think about Celeste.
Yep.
Hard, tough, requires skill.
Yep.
A lot of
Slam
progress.
those two together.
Yep.
All right. I mean, I guess Cuphead already requires skill, so you don't even really have to combine Celeste. But Croak, you're playing as a frog, and you essentially have one move, and that is to use your tongue. And the gimmick is,
So many jokes.
wrap it up. Go ahead and edit in some funny sounds or something in the post. The gimmick is that depending on how long you press the button, you either have a long tongue animation or a short tongue animation.
Can you demonstrate for us?
So if you hold A, it'll be more like and then if you tap A, it'll more be like a blah.
Yep.
So there you go,
That looks
everybody.
correct.
If that looked fun to you, go check out Croak. But the team has made some really cool platforming puzzles using this very simple mechanic. And I was talking to the developer, and they were saying that I guess the project lead on the game just churns out these platforming puzzles faster than you could believe. And I was pretty impressed because they all seemed very polished from the demo. So you have moments where you're like pinballing through a level, and it just feels like it works perfectly to get you where you need to go. There are moments where you can do like a combination of like short platforming and then go into the pinball, and like it's just a really interesting concept for such a simple set of moves. And they also tease that you can use like other environmental gimmicks for each, I guess, area you're in to make the puzzles even more interesting. For example, there were snowflakes falling in the demo, and you'd hit a snowflake, turn it into an ice cube, and now you're sliding over certain environmental terrains to get you across. So yeah, like the game seems very promising. I know with titles like this, it's very important to keep the fire alive as you get deeper and deeper into the game, so things don't feel stagnant. But from what I've seen so far, I think this team definitely has the right tools in place to make a really cool product. And the demo ended with a boss fight with a beaver on a little tricycle, which is like amazing. Like that's an awesome concept.
Do you use your tongue on the beaver?
Is this a PG?
Blah.
Okay, that's your answer right there.
Uh-huh.
Blah. You use your little blah on the beaver there, and it's awesome. Like the beaver has multiple phases, just like in Cuphead, where you not only get a harder boss, but like more animations and whatnot. So I'm very excited to see like what this team is gonna do. Hopefully the game comes out in 2025 is what I've been told, and I believe there will be a demo coming even sooner than that for my PC friends out there. So shout out to Croak.
Did any of y'all play Croak? It was at the mix and on the floor.
I am set to play it tomorrow.
Okay.
I haven't yet, but I want to.
Yeah, there's a boss battle in there. You said the beaver.
Yes.
And the bounce, and there's two phases to it, so it's not easy. And so it took me maybe 20 times to get through the first phase of the boss, where you have to bounce off the wall and then like hit him in the nose.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and I had my time demo. I got through it, and I cheered. And then the guy just walks up and says, the rep who was repping the game says, "Yeah, that's phase 1."
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt awful, but no, it was a rad game.
That's interesting because I played the demo, and the dev was like, "Wow, this guy, he's really good." And I think I might go pro in this game when it comes out. I might be a Croak speedrunner actually. So
You said you're good at the bleh.
I'm good at the blah.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
That was Croak. Help me out with this next one, Joseph.
Sure.
Eastbird, Everdeep Aurora.
Everdeep Aurora.
Okay.
Everdeep Aurora.
Everdeep Aurora, being published by Eastbird. Rad. It is a Game Boy Color inspired game, and so the screen is essentially a square on your widescreen monitor, and there's different panels that have information like your inventory. There'll be a map, but essentially think of it like a Game Boy Color version of Steam World Dig, but with no combat. And it's all about like Ghibli-esque vibes. The vibes are immaculate. The music was sick. and I just really enjoyed my time with it. They were saying that there's 3 different worlds and levels within the worlds, and the levels actually are not very wide. You can probably go from one end of the level to the next to the other end of the level in like maybe 30 seconds, but it is incredibly deep, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Did any of y'all play that one?
I haven't played. I have it. I'm set to play it tomorrow, but I have played it in past things. It is so good. You're not lying.
I haven't heard of it. Where is it?
It's in the Eastbird Games booths.
First of all, we had a really long discussion
Isbird?
about it's not bird though.
No way.
No.
Do not do this to me.
So I've been saying it wrong
not
for
do
years.
this.
For years.
Jill, please enlighten us.
No, I don't know how to say it either.
What?
Isbrid?
Isbrid.
Isbrid.
There's no way.
Isbrid.
Isbrid?
It's probably like one of those.
Eastbird.
You know, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that. So you can say however you
Where's
want.
this publishing? Where are they from?
I want to say the Scandinavian area.
Scandinavian?
Scandinavian area.
Is that?
It's a real thing.
I'm learning a
Don't
lot
worry.
of things right now.
Scandinavian, Norwegian.
Scandinavian area? The Scandinavian area, but they have an immaculate catalog of games
Yeah.
Yes.
where they all have a similar aesthetic. World of Horror, Valhalla, Demon School that's being released early next year.
Yeah.
They have this one. And
Love
they have
Eternal.
Love Eternal as well. And all of them have... There's few publishers out there, especially on the indie side, that have as cohesive as a catalog as they do.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. Sure, you want to say like Dread XP has a very consistent catalog too, but most of the games are horror games, whereas Isbrid, or however we say them, different genres, but you can tell, oh yes, that's an Isbrid game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And-
it's so. It's absurdist as well.
Yeah.
So you're basically a cat, if I remember correctly, and you've gone to sleep on a bench, and when you wake up, like the world has ended,
Yep.
and everyone's gone underground, which is why you're digging. Your mom is gone, apparently just left you.
Yeah,
There's
what's up
some
with
sort
that?
of mystery as to what's happening with Mama Cat. So you're given a digging implement to go down, and you just run into people, like someone, like there's an old lady who's mean, there's someone who needs like a birthday present or something, there's I remember finding like the animal speakeasy was one of my favorites, and it's just like the gameplay is your digging implement only has so much energy, so you're digging to find your mom, you're digging to find people, you're digging to find resources to help you continue to dig. But as you do that, you run into things and people and situations that are going to give you objectives. And they're all sort of, I help this person to help this person to help this person, and you connect. And the dialogue is all so good, the writing is phenomenal. I love an absurd game that doesn't acknowledge that it's absurd in any way. That's just like, yeah, this is just how it is. We're all in this underground speakeasy, and in the span of this cat's nap,
Yep. I think that they've referenced specifically, they said Ghibli films, but they've referenced like Kiki's Delivery Service as an inspiration for them.
Yeah.
And the character design, to your point, also is very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that because you said the vibes are immaculate, and yes, the character designs are very good, but I do think a lot of games have good character designs, but sometimes the character designs don't quite meld into the world surrounding.
Yes.
And I think this game just absolutely nails it, where the characters are not only interesting, but the rooms that they're in are super interesting, and like the way you happen upon these characters are interesting. And I think that alone just immediately immerses you into the scenario where you're kind of like, what's going on? Who is this person? Oh, this person's interesting. I want to learn more about them. And I'm saying person, but they're all anthropomorphic characters.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, like that vibe and the art style and everything just comes together perfectly to just build this really cozy yet interesting and odd experience, which I feel like it's very hard to get all of those things to come together like they do in this game. So
Yeah. I'm surprised I'm not hearing about this game more. This
I know.
should be an
Agreed.
indie darling that people are like, this is my anticipated game.
Yep.
And I'm not hearing that, and I want to be hearing that.
This one is still, I believe, 2025, so there still is some time for everyone to scream about it, but I'm going to scream about it until my lungs are sore. So
do it.
There you go.
Everdeep Aurora, if I remember how to say the name of the game.
We'll get you straight. We'll get you straight, yeah.
So we've got some other guests. However, I would love to do a speed round of some other stuff that y'all saw. So maybe I'll start with you, Trina. I'll put you on the hot seat here. Any other games you want to shout out? Feel free to shout out as many as you'd like.
Oh boy. Pioneer of Pagonia, I think
Okay.
is how you say
that's
that.
good.
Yep.
Oh gosh, there was another like
What's
really
that one?
cute. Not Pioneers.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a city builder, and they recently added co-op, so you can play with 4 people, and they have implemented a lot. So there's like different factions that will like try to attack your base. You have to, build up your city basically. Worry about farming, worry about building, weapons, all of that. They're adding magical elements to it. But yeah, it's just basically a city builder and work together with your friends.
Anything else?
I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but there's this dog game
Yep.
called,
Is it the Corgi game?
not the Corgi one, I
Okay.
haven't seen that one
Okay.
yet. But the premise of the game essentially is you're a dog and you have to be the naughtiest dog possible.
Oh, I
Doggy
love
don't
that.
care.
That one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where's this game?
Wait, what's it
It's
called?
a
Doggy don't
Japanese
care?
indie company.
Doggy don't care. Okay.
Phoenix.
Yep.
And they, you're a dog and you start out with mud.
And you don't
And
care.
then you go into the house and you shake the mud everywhere. Then you find paint, find champagne, and you just try to make the entire house as dirty and messy as possible.
Oh, nah.
And it is so cute. And it's kind of like Power Wash simulator, but like
Backwards?
backwards, right? You want to like just get the entire house just covered in everything. It's so fun.
Oh,
Are you a dog person?
I love dogs.
Okay.
I'm a
I also
cat
love
person,
dogs.
also a dog person.
Okay. And that one again, what was the name on that one? Doggy.
Doggy
Don't
don't
care?
care.
Doggy don't care.
I'm
If
not
that's
letting
the one I'm
Flora
thinking of.
play that game.
Yeah.
I'm not letting Flora play that game.
Yeah, she's gonna get some ideas.
Yeah, I don't need that dog learning no new ideas to annoy me.
You have one more?
One more. Oh boy.
Think about it. Let me go to Jill.
I've got,
Yeah, I was
I've
gonna
got
say.
some.
Let's
I'm
go.
ready. Here we go.
Hit the list.
Oh, she's got a
Ooh.
Here we go.
Are you about to inform us on some indies?
Let's inform. Heartworm, Ender Magnolia, Winter Burrow, Herdling, the Stone of Madness, Demon Spore, Whisper Mountain Outbreak, the Knightling, Reggie, his cousin, 2 scientists, and most likely the end of the world. TetherGeist. Remind me to talk
I've heard
about
that one's quite good.
OMUT. No one worry, I said it right. God Save Birmingham, I already talked about. While Waiting,
Yep.
Usual Jane, and
Yep.
Outrider Mako
Okay.
are all great. I would like to talk about some of them.
Yes, please.
Some depth. Outrider Mako, I really just was my last appointment, I
Yep.
think. I had actually stumbled upon this years ago at this point, I think, during a Steam Next Fest, but it was not in English whatsoever. So I was just kind of stumbling around trying to figure out what to do, but it was so visually beautiful that I'm like, I want to figure this out. So essentially, now that I can read what's happening in the story, you are a child who has tripped from your world into the world of spirits, like you do. It is very Spirited Away in that you show up and people are like, oh, a human, cool. Go talk to this person. And that person is helping / exploiting little human children to be part of his delivery empire. So you get a delivery from this spirit.
Okay.
You have to go find the material, so that in the first quest I had to bring rocks to a rock god who builds shrines.
Okay.
So you leave the safety of the kind of hub delivery world and you go off into another world and you're fighting things and you're throwing, it's not jam, but I've been joking that it's jam. It looks like jam at people and fighting them, and it's tough. Like it's a fun game, but like I wasn't expecting it to be quite as tough as it is. And then I was scavenging for rocks in between all of this. So people were like, I'm like, no, I'm just trying to mine this rock. Get away from me. And then once you get it all delivered and set, you come back, they give you a seal, and then not like Ort, that would be cool, but like a stamp seal. Made myself laugh with my own joke. Yeah, and so they insist that that is the way that you can get back to the human world. So now I'm just kind of in indentured servitude.
Yep.
But it's got the pixel art. It is so beautifully detailed, but
Yep.
also like how watercolor kind of blends and shifts. It kind of looks like that, but with pixels.
Yep.
Okay.
And you have to love when someone has done something like that. And it's also got a very like futuristic and kind of medieval style mixed together. And it's so funny that a lot of the like technology they talk about being ancient.
Yep.
And all of the ancient stuff they talk about as like the modern thing, normal thing to use.
Where was that one on the floor?
If it's past Panic. It's just past Panic.
Do you remember who's publishing that one?
Playism.
Oh, it's a Playism joint.
It's a Playism joint.
Okay. You had a big old list.
I have a whole list.
Maybe pick two more.
I can. Can I? OMUT
Okay.
used to be Aldertroke.
Okay.
It
That
was
was
hard to
past
say.
name.
It was hard to say no matter what, you know. But they changed it to make it even harder. Was pitched to me as a punishing fever dream, and it 100% is. Kind of imagine Animal Well
Okay.
in visual style.
You've got him.
Say more.
Yeah,
Say more.
Yeah, no, you're gonna like this. It's kind of that visual style. You get dropped in. No one explains to you what the hell is happening.
Okay.
You're running through like caves. Things are scary. Ghosts are happening.
I'm out.
Like it's not like murder scary.
Okay. I'm back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back in. Okay.
It's just weird and bizarre and like no, I don't want to take your deal, sir.
Okay.
But you're given a gun. And
That casual segue into getting a gun.
And you're
Yeah.
given a gun.
You're given a gun. No, I mean, it feels that way when you're playing. And it's sort of a mix between sort of the weird, creepy, atmospheric vibe and visuals of Animal Well and like a Souls game.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
So you play through bosses, and I want to believe, Jacob McCourt, that I wasn't terrible at games.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I could not defeat. I got to at least the second phase for all of the bosses that I went through. But you could see the person, like the dev next to me.
Were they
just like,
shaking their head at you?
Okay, so like the first one is you can't let them touch the ground. So it's an enemy that starts off at the top and kind of starts to drop down. So when you hit them, it's kind of like a game of like tennis or something.
Okay.
You have to like, or volleyball. You have to keep them in the air by shooting at them. But then they start like juking and jiving and like trying to freak you out. I'm like, I don't know what to shoot. And then as soon as they touch the ground, you die.
Whoa.
Okay.
And it's so hard to stop playing because the respawn button puts you back in the action immediately.
Okay.
It's
Can I
like you
see how
didn't
this
even
game is
stop.
spelled? I need to look this up immediately.
OMUT, all
Okay.
capitalized.
OMUT.
Yeah.
OMUT.
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 I'll go with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
We'll pretend that that's how it's said. It is a lot of fun. The second one was like a sumo wrestler who was like running at you and you had to dive through him. And then once you got to phase 2, he'd like send out seismic waves that you had to dive through. But you're just, like, I got the diving part and I was so proud of myself.
Yep.
She was like, "You got that, but you do have to shoot him." Like, now I can't do anything because now I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
Yep.
And that's impossible. So that's going to be a fantastic game. I haven't had enough time to sit down and I haven't had all of my appointments yet, but that's in the running for my top game of the show.
I looked
Yeah.
at the screenshots. We're in business, baby.
Yeah.
We're in business. Let's
Go look it up. Go look it up right now.
Joseph, you and I are going to be on a little bit later, I think in our 3rd segment potentially.
Yes.
So I'm going to save some of your last picks for then.
I didn't even have them ready. Perfect.
Great. But I'd love really quick, Trina, 3rd game, Jill, 3rd game, and then we're going to invite some more folks to come through.
You got this, Trina.
This one was not at PAX.
Oh,
this one was
okay.
at the Mix.
Okay.
It's at the PAX. It's at PAX. PAX Mix.
Pack
Well,
mix.
It's
yeah.
PAX
It's
adjacent.
PAX adjacent. Yeah.
Symphonia.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's like
Good answer.
Hollow Knight, kind of vibes. It's a platformer.
Yep.
But you have a violin, and the music was composed like specifically like with your movements.
Yep.
And then you also use that violin to open doors,
Yep.
to do different things in the game.
Yep.
And one of the mechanics that I thought was really unique with that game was you're like on this cushion and you like Angry Birds over to the other side.
Cool.
And it's really cool. So
Is it like a Metroidvania-ish?
it's more like Hollow Knight-y.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. So sort of like Hollow Knight. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That one is Symphonia?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Words are hard sometimes. It's been a long weekend.
They
Jill,
are.
last pick.
Oh my gosh. I have so many to pick from. I'm going to shout out the Stone of Madness.
Okay.
It's another maybe just for Jill joint.
Yeah, you
Okay.
got some deep cuts today.
Yeah. So it's all set in a monastery out in the countryside,
Go
kind
on.
of. Go on, you're
Go
into this,
on,
you
yeah.
know. And it starts off. This is not a spoiler. It says very quickly. You used to be like a monk member of this monastery, and what the monastery is known for is having been opened for the ill, the mentally ill, the madness of Stone of Madness. So at some point, your character tells you he went from being a monk in the monastery to being trapped inside the kind of insane asylum part because he knew too much of what was going on.
Yep.
They didn't tell me what was going on. You know, I want to know what's going on.
Yep.
So that's sort of where you start out, and then you see a woman getting dragged away by a bunch of guards who's
Yep.
screaming, who's terrified, thinks something's going to happen. So immediately you have to figure out, what's happening there? We
Yep.
got to go figure this out. And then it cuts to the gameplay, and it is kind of an isometric grid-like strategy game
Okay.
with stealth and like immersive sim elements. Right?
A
You
lot
got
of-
Joseph
I mean,
again.
there's a lot of elements.
We
it's
might
hard
be
to
the
picture,
same person,
but
you
I'm
know?
in. I'm in immersive sim. I'm in.
I thought you were going to say that's a sequel to Indica, but then you threw out all those words.
No, it is very visually different.
Mhm.
But you know, Indica's real good too. So you start off. The tutorial part is kind of just sneaking through the garden,
Yep.
trying to figure out like what do the cones of vision do and all that stuff. And then you can like pick up anything off the walls. You can they don't tell you anything. So I was just sneaking over, passing by a torch, trying to be sneaky, and it lit up as if I could interact with it. What does that do? Shoop. Oh, now I'm in shadow. It's so much harder to see me. Why didn't I do this before? And like picking up a lamp and wind coming through a window, an open window, and then I realized like, I can close the window so I can like still keep my lamp and all that jazz. So there's a lot of like, something I really love about games is if I get a thought, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I did that? And
Yep.
then you go and you do it.
Yep.
There's a lot of that in this game. So you're sneaking around, you get past all the guards, you find weirdly placed things, you discover ghosts just happen in a monastery in the middle of nowhere, you know? And like my superpower, because I was a priestly man, is to like bless them and
Yep.
sort of like keep them from being able to do anything for a bit so I can run past them.
Yep.
And then I meet a man who I was looking for the woman, but locked inside the cell I thought she was going to be in is another dude, and I pick him up as like part of my party, so I can switch out between the priest and this new dude.
Okay.
And he can like pick up things, and he's really strong, and he can like get through chests really quickly because he's got a sorted past, you know.
Okay.
So you're going to be like collecting a bunch of people to do all these different things and switching between them in order to figure out what is hiding in this monastery, and I loved it.
Okay.
Can you recap the games that you talked about before we? I talked about Everdeep Aurora. You talked about Croak. Trina, what games did you talk about? Just if folks want to find.
Spiral
Yep.
and Symphonia and Pioneer of Pagonia.
And Jill.
My highlights were Stone of Madness,
Yep.
God Save Birmingham, Outrider Mako.
Great. We will include links to all of these as Steam links in the description of both the audio and the video versions. So do us a favor. If these games look cool, please wishlist them because that really helps a lot. Jill Grodt, Trina Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to swap out our couch here. I'm going to have Luke Lewis come over here and take the reins, and he's going to invite 3 wonderful guests.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our next segment. We're here at PAX West 2024. I forgot what year it was momentarily. I have an illustrious panel of wonderful folks that I'm about to introduce coming to us from the Gamerheads podcast. It is Roger. Welcome to the show, Roger.
Thank you
Super
for
happy
having
to
me.
have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Continuing on, we have Sly from Point in Progress.
Hello, thanks for having
Welcome
me
back, returning to our now annual event in front of this
Love to
lovely
see
view.
it.
You know, the
Yeah,
weather's great here in
absolutely.
Seattle. And, of course, we have from the LukeWarmGames podcast, Claire Helmberger.
Hey.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? How's your pack so far?
Good. Yeah,
Awesome.
fantastic.
That is fair. I feel like I'm tired, but the spirits are good. You know, it's like
Yeah.
games are good, friends are amazing, good vibes all around. So as we ran through in our last segment, we're going to highlight some games that we played so far this weekend. Let's start with Roger. What's one of the games you played so far that you want to highlight tonight?
Let's see. Oh, I got to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Ooh, okay, tell me about that. I've seen a lot of YouTube ads, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Well, so it was funny. When we got there, I was actually there with some other media folk, and the dev said, "How many of you played it?" And everybody else raised their hand except for me, the first one. And I just said, "Well, I found out about this game. I found out about the first game because of this game. It's really good.
Cool.
It's
it
really
looks
immersive.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a medieval RPG.
Okay.
But there's no dragons. There's no it's all supposed to be like realistic medieval stuff.
Sure.
And there's real events that are happening, real historical events that are happening. But you can help influence it, but like you can't change history, obviously. And you're basically playing a nobody that is trying to survive. And the part that they had us play was like 60 hours into the game, which is pretty crazy that they have that far already. And it's very immersive. You had to go steal a sword, and I don't want to get into too much of it because people probably want to play it. But let's just say I got caught, and things didn't go very well. But there's so many things. There's so many things that could happen. Like every character is has their own patterns, doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, and it's so good.
And it's
so good.
very open-ended. The
Yes.
world's huge.
Yes.
There's a lot of directions you can go
Yes.
in. Nice.
Yeah. Even if you failed this mission, he said, you could still do the mission, but you would have to do it a different way.
Okay.
Nice. And the fact that I, in the process of doing this, I was supposed to steal a sword. I got caught.
Okay.
And that ending of what happens next plays out so differently then because of that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Sly, how about for you?
I have not touched a lot of games.
That's fair.
I have been doing my best. I've seen a lot of really cool things.
For sure.
But I don't think I've seen anything that's not an indie. I spent an hour on the expo floor, and I booked
Cool.
it for the little U corner thing.
Sure.
That's just all indies.
Awesome.
But when I was over there, I saw a couple really cool things. A new thing I saw was Spirit of Midnight.
Yeah.
That's
the
one of my
house
favorites.
cat. Yeah, it was so cute. There's some spirit orb thing that awakens your mind, and you learn how to unlock doors, and you adventure out into the real world for the first time, and you meet a badger who's mortally offended that you don't have clothes on, but their definition of clothes is different than human definitions, of course, and it's a puzzly kind of 2.5D-ish, just really cool, really fun puzzles, and you're kind of on a fetch quest, solving problems for the animals around the world to find more of those spirit orbs to unlock more places.
Yeah, that one kind of gives me Night in the Woods vibes. Is that fair? Somewhat? Maybe? Animals, narrative driven? No? Maybe?
I think Night in the Woods is a little more autumny, spooky.
Okay.
About
so tonally different.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
tone
Okay,
is
got
quite
it.
different.
Okay, that's
yeah.
fair. That's fair. Claire, you've played that one as well. I know you haven't played the newest demo, but you're a
Yeah,
fan of that game.
I played that a couple of PAXs ago, and I think it was my game of the show at that PAX.
I know we
So
still
I
have
love
the
that
fridge
one.
magnet. Shout out to the dev team with their really cute merch for that one.
Yeah, and I checked in with the dev today, and he said that he is aiming to have it done somewhat soon, so hopefully by early next year. And there's also a demo on Steam right now, and if you've played the demo before, he did say that they are, if it's not already out, then soon they'll be updating it, so there are some quality life improvements from the old update too, which is really cool.
Hell yeah. Claire, how about for you? What's the game you want to bring up?
I know this one was already talked about, but my favorite game so far is the one that was at the mix and on the show floor, Symphonia. It is just really incredible. The music, especially, was just, it totally blew me away. But also just like the attention to detail in the world. The platforming itself was very enjoyable. It was challenging but not too challenging, good checkpoints, all that stuff. Diverse enough mechanics that it was interesting. But I just loved exploring the world because each area is inspired by a different section of the symphony orchestra, and the area that we were in is inspired by the woodwind section. So even in the background there were like lampposts that were the rods and keys of like a clarinet, or there are like the bells of various horns in the back, and you're using your violin to get around the world, and the staff, the 5 lines, runs behind your player character as you're like traversing the area. So it's just like every little thing feels so intentional, and it was really, really fun too on top of all that. So
That one was a master's student grad project.
Oh, wow,
That
cool.
was on I think Itch, and was picked up by the publisher. I was talking
very
with,
cool.
That's rad.
The publisher who was kind of like his pet project, was scouting, finding these students,
Yeah.
and helping bring them into being fully published devs.
Nice.
So it was
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
very cool.
Sweet. Is it like a, what is it, a platformer?
Yeah,
What
it's
is
a
it?
it's a
Okay.
platformer.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to play that one, but I really want to.
Yeah, and the really cool thing is that there isn't any combat.
Oh,
Which I thought was
Okay.
really intriguing. So when you get to those end of level moments, you are performing with the boss instead of fighting them and defeating them. You're joining with them to bring the world back to life using music. So
That's cool.
that was cool.
That's cool.
Rad. I'm going to talk about a genre that I don't typically delve into that really caught me off guard today in a good way. I played Ghosts over at the Limited Run booth.
Oh!
Roger, you're getting really excited. I love the look in your eyes. Okay, we're in this together. I want to get your take too. So for folks that aren't familiar, this is a new project from Jed Shepard in collaboration with Visible Games and Limited Run. It's a horror game for all you sickos. Mike Towndra, if you're watching, this one's for you, buddy. I know it's already on your radar because you're the one who told me to play it, but yeah, this is really, really cool. It's really, really unnerving, but it's doing some unique things. So base premise, it's a first-person game that incorporates FMV elements. Think immortality, but a little more spooky budget horror, low poly vibes, and just really unnerving. The base premise, the demo starts, and you're a camera operator, and there's cameras all over this house, and you're switching cameras to show viewers the most interesting aspect of your environment. So you're switching it to where people are, and then as you're going through the demo, you turn your back and there's things going on behind you. You have to go outside and solve some puzzles and then come back to the camera operations, and then things shift around in the house, and there's all these freaky things happening. At one point there was blood all over the screen when I turned back to the camera. There's things going on in the house, there's people appearing in different places, and it got really different really, really fast. And this was just a short 10, maybe 15 minute demo. So it was a really interesting slice of just all the different things we saw and how many different places they could go. I chatted with the dev quite a bit about the game, and he mentioned that it's not a linear experience. There's multiple endings, there's multiple things that can happen depending on what you choose to do and how you approach things. So I think for folks that are coming hot off of Immortality and are looking for that next open-ended horror unique thing that is using FMV in new ways. This was really, really dope. So this was Ghost. But Roger, what did you think?
Well, I didn't get to play it yet.
Oh, okay.
But I interviewed.
Oh, amazing.
Jeb, and so what's crazy is that when he was telling me about the game, you can only play it at like 10 o'clock at night.
Wait, what? Really?
Because they're gonna
expound.
What?
Keep going.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm just like, I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Because the
cut you
idea
off.
is that you're producing a ghost hunting show
Oh.
called Ghosts.
Right. Okay.
And you send these people in, so you can only play at like 10 o'clock at night till I don't know when, and it's crazy. That's a crazy concept.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
that's wild.
I missed
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
That's whoa. Okay.
And I asked about that. I said, well, what about people that want to play it? You know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I mean, they could just go into their Switch and change the time, I guess.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Oh, yeah.
But he wanted to have this immersive feel into this game.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
That adds another
Yeah.
layer.
Really
I already
interesting.
loved
Yeah.
it, but now
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
We're getting
Yeah.
meta with it. Let's go.
And did you know that Jim Henson's Muppet creations are included in
Yeah,
this
I
game?
was reading a little bit up on
Yeah.
it too, and yeah, that there's like multiple layers, and Jed did like the audio design for the game, which is
Yeah.
really unnerving and cool, and he has a background in music and different
Yeah.
things that he was telling me about. Yeah, it's super interesting, dude. Really interesting game.
Yeah.
Multiple layers. Check out Roger's interview. We can link it
Yeah,
here in the
yeah,
show when it
yeah.
goes up, but. Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. It's also, you can back it on Kickstarter and get an early copy of the game and some different things there. So there's different ways to support, but
Yeah.
really cool one.
Yeah.
Roger, I'm going to kick it back to you. I'd love to hear another title
Another
that
title.
you want to highlight tonight.
What is that? Ender's Magnolia?
Yep.
Am I
yeah.
pronouncing that correctly?
Mhm.
That game is so beautiful.
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I need to play the first one. I didn't play the first one. But I sat down to play the second game in this series, and it is so gorgeous, and the music is so good. I don't know, the animation is so good too. I just fell in love with it. The second boss kind of kicked my butt. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fair.
But it was fun. It was really good, and I just walked away with a big smile on my face because it was so good. So yeah, that if you haven't had a chance to play the first one, which I need to go back and play, but they said that this improves on the first one too. So I'm really
Amazing.
looking forward to this game.
Cool.
Nice.
Sly, how about another one for you?
I'm going to break your format, and I'm going to go by themes.
Sure. No, please.
So I want to talk about two games that I saw last year
Okay.
and saw again this year
Okay.
and how they've updated.
Love it.
It was Corgi's Cozy Height.
Yep. Love it.
And it was Kitchen Sink Aloha at the Mix, which I saw last year and I really liked. The second one got a lot of updates in the past year. They basically redid all of the pixel art elements. There was some story updates. They implemented a bunch of new features, mini games, maps, side quests, and the dev was talking about how he thought it was a lot further along last year than it really was, and seeing people hands-on with some playtesting and at 6 really gave him a better idea of the scope and the goals of the game. And he's finishing up the final story and levels right now and is on track for early next year release. So I'm
Sweet.
really excited to keep my eye on that. And then Corgi's Cozy Hike has some new locations in it. The art is like a little bit updated, but it's pretty much the same vibe. But the thing I was really excited about was there was a lot more actions you could do with your Corgi, and so many more interactive features. Like there was like one of those squishy like chicken things that you could pick up and carry around throughout the thing, and different like interactive like elements of the world. And so those were really cool games I really liked last year, and they look even better this year. So that was really awesome.
Very
Sweet.
cool. Nice.
Back to you, Claire. We're on the evening news now.
Another one that I want to shout out that I believe Jill Rapid Fire mentioned a little while ago is Herdling.
Yeah.
So we had a trailer for this at Gamescom, I believe.
Yep.
And it looked really interesting. I didn't expect to see it on the show floor, so I was really excited. to get to play it. So you play as a sheep herder type person. You have this magical staff, and there are these creatures that you find in this city. The world feels very deserted, and there's like a really forlorn vibe. And these creatures are not like regular goats or sheep. They're kind of mythical. They've got these like spiral horns. I forget exactly what they were called.
It's
Calicorn or something like that.
And your description is really good.
Yeah.
It's like Last Guardian meets like big horned sheep
Yeah.
creature is kind of the visual I would describe.
Definitely. So you are like using magic to herd the creatures, and it's a really interesting sort of mechanic that you are using the staff to kind of guide them and show them where to go, but you have to stand behind them, not in front of them, which I think I heard some people had a hard time knowing what to do. And then these like the wildflowers bloom as you create the path, and eventually you get out of the city into the wilderness, and then the goal is to get them up the mountain, and you can like get magical boosts that help them go really fast, and there are some like pretty cool visual effects, but there's also like the sound cues start to kick in and the musical cues when you are out there. And I was talking to some people at the booth who were saying that like later on there become obstacles and puzzles that you have to solve by getting them to go a certain way or at a certain speed, and there are some dangerous like enemies later on. So it was really fun, and I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Heck yeah. No, I really loved this one too. It reminded me a lot of Concrete Genie for folks that have played that
in
one.
vibes, for sure.
It's less in terms of like creating
or like what you're
things, but
doing.
more in terms of just like the cozy storybook feeling of being in the world, and
something
like,
about the like fur texture too.
Yeah, and like having like a creature companion that you're using to solve puzzles. And I said Last Guardian earlier, but I think it kind of hits those notes too of like environmental based puzzles and just like really heartwarming. I had a really good time with that one as well. I didn't quite get a handle of like the fluid motion of the herding. I was kind of getting it by the end, but I think that one is one that, at least for me, if I had a little more time with, I could kind of sink in and really get in a nice groove, which would be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Nice. Any other quick fire shout outs? We can go down the line real quick.
Do you have a second game you want to
I think I'm going to save mine for the final
later?
segment, just for pacing purposes. But if you guys have any quick picks that you'd love to call out.
Can I shout out two? What do you want me? 1, 2?
Let's go with 2. Sure.
Quick. I'll call out All Systems Dance from Mighty L.
We love Dave Proctor on this show.
Yeah. So fluid. It's so cool to see all these dance moves, and it's a non-violent game, and you defeat robots through dance. So you do these dance battles. It's so cool. I can't wait for the full game.
Heck yeah.
And then the other one is Love Eternal.
Okay.
So this is a platformer kind of like Celeste, where there's like spikes and you kind of have to jump, and when you jump you change. If you jump again while you're jumping, it changes gravity, so you're going up to the ceiling, so your feet are touching the ceiling, so you kind of have to maneuver around spikes and stuff like that. It's a horror game too. So there's a jump scare at the end, and it was interesting.
And how do we feel about that?
Well, going into it, so it's weird. It's a horror game, but also kind of like a sad game too, because like I don't want to get too much into it, but like the person's family's just missing, it's gone, and you got to figure out what's going on. It was great. It was fantastic, and the level design is really good. So
sweet.
I have a couple. The next category was love letters to the 90s.
Ooh, okay.
So at the 6th, there was Gas Station Story.
Cool.
Which is it was running on a GameCube, and it was
Sick.
playable on the Game Boy. So definitely check that one out.
Wow.
And then at PAX Rising, they had Desktop Explorer, which was like a 90s UI puzzle game. Really awesome. But so far, my game of show was Usual June, which was at the Mix.
Loved it.
It was gorgeous. The art was incredible. It was you're on like summer break, and you're exploring an astronomy tower someplace.
Yeah, and then it kind of gets a little supernatural fantasy
it's
vibes.
Like urban legend meets supernatural. You're exploring this legend of the town and interacting with this supernatural creature. And then when you get to the like shift, it was really cool. I don't want to spoil anybody.
No worries.
It was just such a fun experience, and it had the coolest focusing effect where you use the your left trigger to focus on various elements, and I was standing right next to the like artist for the game, and I was like,
Oh, cool.
I am so obsessed with this like little detail of the effect of this focusing.
Yeah.
And she was like, thank you, I was so proud of that. So I
That's
absolutely adored it. It was so beautiful, it felt really good, and I'm really excited to see where that like supernatural mystery problem solving goes. So
Yeah, I played that one
Yeah,
as well.
definitely.
It's real dope. It's internally developed by Finji and published by Finji, which is cool. It's been a while since they did an internal game, so I was really stoked to hear that. But yeah, I loved it as well.
Nice.
Claire.
Yeah, that
What
was
you-
that
oh,
was
sorry.
one of my favorites
mean to-
too. I
yeah.
really loved the art style, and also the character animation is kind of like Spider-Verse in that there's like a little bit of
Yes.
lag
Yeah,
on
that's
it.
a good
pull.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
I also really loved Winter Burrow, which is
Oh,
like a
yeah.
cozy survival game where
Yeah,
you play
I saw that.
as a mouse
Mhm.
in the winter in the nature, and the pitch was that it's like a cozy survival game, so it's not too difficult. It's something that you can like sit down with a cup of tea and really enjoy. The art style is very art book, and it really reminded us both of Redwall, which is why we wanted to go check it out.
And the dev confirmed
yes,
the
that was an
inspiration there, so I was like,
inspiration.
yes. Thank you.
There's like foraging and crafting and cooking, and there are different effects, and you're trying to survive the cold. There are different areas with different NPCs that have their own quests and their own like artifacts that you can find and use for crafting, and it just is really something that I know I'm going to get really deep into, so that was really, really great. And then I also had, I'm just going to shout out two more really fast.
Yeah, please.
I had Rooster, which is inspired by the art of ancient China, and as well as folklore. So you're Rooster from the Chinese zodiac, and you are sent back in time to learn how to become a better person. And each level has a different member of the zodiac as the lead character behind the level. But then it also has its own gameplay mechanic. So there's like it's a point and click game through and through, but there's like a hidden object level, there's a cooking level, there's a dating sim level, so that one sounded really cool, and the art is beautiful. And then I also was really excited about Honeycomb: The World Beyond, which is basically Subnautica on land, from what I could tell. Subnautica was a huge inspiration, and you can really see that, so that's, I feel like, all I need to say about that one, but it was really cool.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to kick it to our last segment with some new guests, but let's quickly just run down each game that y'all talked about. Roger, what were the games you highlighted today for folks, if we remember?
I have to remember. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yep.
What was the other? No, Love Eternal I mentioned. All Systems Dance.
I'm sorry, this isn't supposed to be a test. I should have prepared you all. You're totally fine.
There was probably one more in there. I'm sorry.
And I think we
don't-
both talked about Ghosts.
Ghosts.
but
Yeah, Ghosts. There's probably one more in there. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
You're
but
totally fine.
okay.
Sly.
Well, I'm looking at my notes, and I can't believe I didn't talk about the gay visual novel based on Dracula,
Oh, yeah.
the novel. So shout out to Draculesti. But I talked about A Corgi's Cozy Hike, Spirit of Midnight, Usual June, Kitchen Sink Aloha, and Guest Station Story.
Awesome. And
Very
Claire?
cool. I talked about Symphonia, Winter Burrow, Herdling, Rooster, and Honeycomb: The World Beyond.
Love it. And I talked about Ghosts, and you can find links to all of the wish lists right below. Please support the devs if you can. And you'll also find links to all of the wonderful content that these folks here make. Thank you so much again, and have a great rest of your night.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was a blast.
And with that, we are here with our third round of guests. And joining us for the second year in a row is our lovely Geoff and Sarah.
Hi. Thank you for having us. Thank you for asking us to come back.
Yeah,
It's an annual thing now. You're stuck. You were part of the first one, so now we're family. You know, it's a thing.
This is how I get to do things. I just get stuck there. It's great.
Yeah, that is kind of how that works. And, I'm sitting in for Matt Storm, who's unfortunately able to join us, but all of us are part of Fun and Games podcast.
Here in spirit.
So,
Here in
yes,
spirit.
here in spirit with us.
Absolutely. Yes.
Not dead, but
Not dead,
just like
not
very much
here.
alive.
So, before we jump into it, I do want to give you a chance to plug whatever you want. So we can go down, and I know it's kind of like a tag team duo situation here, but Geoff, let's start with you.
Yeah.
What do you do?
What I do is I'm a voice actor, and in the capacity here at PAX West, I am 1/3, 1/2, whatever fraction of Fun and Games podcast, a bi-weekly gaming podcast that talks about gaming as culture and history and present and future, with the ideas that every game is someone's favorite. No one person can play every single game that's out there, and our gaming past informs our gaming future. On our feed is also side quests, where a different host every episode talks about a game they love and why they love it. We like to have an optimistic view of games and gaming culture.
Beautifully said.
Thank
And
you.
Sarah.
I'm the associate producer, keeping this one and Matt in line and making sure we make all of our appointments and all of that. That's how I'm involved in the industry.
Awesome. So, we're here at PAX on day 3. So, I want to gauge, how's your PAX been so far?
Exhausting.
Yes, it
But
has.
awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
That kind of thing where you go, man, I'm exhausted. How many games have I played? Not nearly as many as I think I should be for this tired, but still a lot.
I think part of it also is the East Coast thing, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
Like last night when I got back from the party we were at, I was like, it is after midnight Pacific time. What is happening?
Yes.
And my late 30-something body just broke down and was like, oh, you thought that was going to be okay? Good luck.
It's the time, the temporal equivalent of Wile E. Coyote running off the cliff. We're fine. What time is it?
Yes. As I was leaving my apartment today, I heard, have a good day. I looked over. I thought it was Amanda. It was Father Time.
Oh.
So I think we're all feeling it this year.
Oof. Yes.
But despite the tiredness, I want to hear about the amazing games you have played this weekend. Let's start with your favorite game each, and then we'll go back and do some lightning rounds and whatnot. So
Yeah. Some favorite games for me.
Just the one favorite. Just
One favorite.
follow directions. That's what I'm doing.
Fine. Jeez, I don't know if I have a singular favorite. There's been a lot of really good precision platformers this year that I've been enjoying.
It feels like the PAX of the platformer, which I'm very much here for.
Yeah.
Which is last PAX West anyway was the PAX of the Metroidvania.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you want me to go first while you think about what your favorite is?
Please do.
Yeah, so my favorite this time was PopUcom, believe it or not.
Ooh,
When they
yes.
sent out the email about it, it had all of the keywords that I was like, did you write this press email and make this game for me?
Yeah.
It's a, let's see, how did I describe it? I don't know how they did it, but it's a Puyo Pop platformer co-op game.
Shooter,
puzzler, all of those things. So basically, you and a partner are trying to get through
obstacles.
the obstacles, which are including like you have 2 different colors that you control. You have to have shields so you can get each other through it. Felt very like It Takes Two, Guacamelee, things like that.
A little bit of Astrobot.
Yeah, a little bit of Astrobot in the aesthetics of it. So I had the best time. I was like, I want to come here. I want to lift up some of my indies. I got some more people to talk to you about too that just delighted me. But my game of show so far is that disclaimer: we have not played All Systems Dance yet, and we have real high hopes for it. But our interview with them is until tomorrow.
Okay. I'm glad you started with that game because that was, I believe, the first game I played like when the show floor opened up to everyone.
Nice.
And it was also my partner Amanda's first game that she has ever played at a PAX because this is her first PAX. And yeah, the gameplay was so interesting and the puzzles felt smart and cool, and there was a lot of variety in just the one level that we played.
Which one did you play? Was it
It was the ice level.
The ice level. That was my favorite of the 3.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. And I was really surprised because I had never heard of this game coming in. I didn't see the press email, so we kind of just stumbled upon it. And I was like, wait a second, this is actually pretty nice. And even like Amanda had such a good time, like all weekend she's been like, what if we just went back and played PopUcom again? I'm like, Not a terrible idea.
Well, the other thing being that it is a co-op game and had co-op already there as a demo. There's been more than a few games that we've tried or we've seen that have been like, it is a co-op game, but we don't have co-op right now for the demo. We can't try these out just yet, but you can get an idea for what's going on. And I imagine those games will go up in my estimation when I get to try the co-op and we get to play those together with friends or anything else. But the fact that PopUcom very much is built on that co-op experience and had it there so you could really delve into it, and the both of us playing it, having those moments of wait, how do we get through this one? No, you move the shield that way. Oh, there we go.
And it's a little bit unforgiving in some of it. So you played probably my favorite level, which, like I said, it had a lot of shield mechanics working with each other. The boss, though, you're literally playing Puyo Pop in it, and if you mess up, it gets more health back because you gave it the wrong color.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool to see because I was like, we're so good at this, we are suddenly very bad at this.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think probably my favorite of what I have seen has been, and speaking of indies, Foul Damage.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
It's on my top 5 too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in the PAX Rising area. It is, again, we were talking about, like, this is the PAX of, like, the platformers. And a lot of the platformers that we've been seeing, and certainly ones I've been playing, have a little bit of Celeste in their DNA, which is not a bad thing. But it's that kind of, here's our platforming mechanic, here's our precision to it, and then here's that, like, break the crystal to get to do it again. Here's the wall jump so that you can do it. That little bit of the, Celeste is it's a nice kind masochism platformer. But Foul Damage is one where you're an egg, and if you fall too far, you break. And your jump height is too high to survive. So you have to jump up to platforms that you survive. You do not get a double jump. You do not wall jump. There's no anything like that. It is simply pure maneuvering and puzzling your way through the environment. And so all of the evolution on it is the environment. And so there's something so pure in execution and feels good to do the entire time.
That's what I was going to say. It was a really satisfying game for me to play because at first, you're so bad at it, right? A lot of the games I played, I was like, oh, I'm bad at this. Wait, I'm suddenly very good at this. But even once you get the mechanic, and again, it's one of those games that doesn't punish you for dying, right? You're like, boom, right back to the beginning,
very
try
quick.
Again. And when you get it, you're like, oh, I see it. I see what they want me to do. And then sometimes you're like, I see it. I still didn't do it, but I see it.
And because it gets you back every time you mess that up, you're like, I'm going to get it this time. I know what I'm doing. I've got this. And then it's...
Exactly.
Yeah, you begin to see the code in the Matrix, and it's...
Totally.
Yeah. It's very
I love
satisfying.
the animation, too, of the egg rolling, the egg smashing, like just the little attention to the detail.
Did you
there
see
was
the
smiley
egg
face.
in the slime and the smile?
It was
I was
so
like,
good. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to play, but I watched this probably 10-year-old kid just dominate, and it was very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, I want to
definitely
go back
check
and
it
beat
out.
the speed run record. And
Hell yeah.
maybe if there's not people there tomorrow, I'll try to do that. We'll see. It's fine.
Okay.
Also, I mean, the person who created the game was on the team for Peglin, which is one of my other favorite games that I play tons. And so...
Yes, to the point where we share the same Steam account, and everyone's like, Geoff, you played a lot of Peglin. Like, what do you think about it? I have not played any Peglin. I have not.
No, if there's time for Peglin, I play Peglin. I'm really good at sharing.
And Luke?
Yeah, I'll continue the trend. That one was also featured in the PAX Rising area, which I think is like one of the strongest showings for that booth area I've seen in years. Like, it's always awesome, but this year it's like, wow, like 5 of my favorite games of the show are in that area. I want to talk about Tears of Metal.
Yeah.
From Paper Cult. So for folks that aren't familiar with this game, if you played Blood Roots back in, I believe, early 2020, I want to say 2019 maybe, this is their next project. It is a third-person style action game with roguelite elements. You're building up a squad. It's set in this awesome medieval Viking universe. Very
pseudo-Scotland.
Yeah, pseudo-Scotland. Very cool stylized art. They're known for kind of like hyper violence, but like uber colorful and detailed. And this one is just so much fun to play. I thought the combat felt so tight and engaging. There's roguelite elements, so similar to Hades, you're picking upgrades along the way. you're recruiting people and then heading into battle, and you get to like mash the button. Braveheart was noted as an inspiration of just like the overall vibe for this game.
Oh yeah, and it shows.
Yeah, hell yeah. I know y'all have played as well, but this one was like easily my favorite thing I played this weekend.
Yeah, no, your recommendation was what got us to check it out when we went to the mix.
Correct.
And it's funny because those are in the same way that PopUcom was like coming for Sarah specifically. Reading sort of the index card of what Tears of Metal is, like I was like, that seems okay. It like
I was like, those are
anathema
none
to
of
you.
the things that I do, but I enjoyed it. I
both
had
of
a
us
really good time
great
with it. I
time.
thought it was a fun gameplay experience. I liked the way that the buttons came up on the screen when you push them to see things like that. That
and
didn't.
With there's like a combo.
Combos,
because
that's one of my things with games like that, where I'm like, I don't. When did you pick up the X? Did you get it in the other combo or this one, or how are we doing
Because the animation's just going and it feels a little bit button mashy, but that gives just enough of a like.
Yeah, and then I somehow was setting everything on fire, and the world was great because everyone was on fire, and I was
had
winning.
the like poison area effect thing going. It was crazy.
I had weird glass shattering going on with mine. Yeah,
the differences makes it even cooler in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it gets me excited to check it out. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and you're right. PAX Rising this year has been excellent. It's been very cool also checking out some of the games that I first saw at previous PAXs at PAX Rising and I'm getting to check out now.
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm allowed to shout out a second game.
Absolutely.
Sure.
One that I feel so bad like not immediately going to it was Keylocker.
Okay.
Because that I saw at PAX Rising, I think PAX East 2022 or something. It was fantastic. The style of it's incredible. Turn-based RPG with some light positioning tactical to it.
And light rhythm elements.
Because you're sort of a rock musician hacker in a cyberpunk world.
I was going to ask if I saw this in the cyberpunk vibes. I was like, I remember the key art.
Yeah, the key art on this,
it's
striking. The music's great. And really the one reason why it wasn't like, oh my God, that was the best one was because we in the demo get to pick what class we are. And we as a collective.
No, Matt did it.
I know. I'm
trying to be nice, but
trying to be
Matt
nice.
Storm picked the defensive class, which is a good choice, but the hardest one to play. So you can't do offensive damage. You have to timed hit, deflect, and then you hit, which when you're playing a demo and you can't really hear on the show floor,
that's a tricky challenge.
Yeah, I think it's the right class to like get good at.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get good at it one day.
Not the one to do in a demo.
Right, yeah, we should have picked something like DPS, attack, and I think we would have had a better time because when it clicked as hard as this class was, it was so satisfying. It was so good, and unfortunately, that challenge colored our feelings on playing through the demo. But honestly, I loved it when I first saw it, and it's very close to release. It's coming out next month.
Oh, awesome!
And so it's going to be day one for me.
Okay. So while we're on the topic of naming more games, I think this is a perfect chance to hit our lightning round, where let's just go through the Rolodex of like your favorite games that you saw. If you want to pause and give a pitch on one of them, that's awesome. You guys have lists?
I have a list.
Okay, Sarah came prepared.
I have very little short-term memory and really good executive function. So lists are my friends. So the one I want to take a second to talk about actually is Feltopia.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. The best fidget
very
toy.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have never seen another game like this.
Yes.
I like Yoshi's Crafted World is probably the closest where they like have this aesthetic of it being yarn. No. This game is hand-felted stop motion graphics. I met the artist. I saw the things that they use for the stop motion. It's a side-scroller shooter. You're collecting sheep. The game felt very easy to me. I heard that some people actually found it hard. They give you lots of health along the way if you get hurt. I sometimes forget that I'm very good at video games, but it's fine. It was the most beautiful game I've ever seen. It had my number so well. I don't even like side-scrolling shooters, but I loved this.
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead. We'll go down the line with
Sure.
round. We'll give you the other one.
Speaking of other platformers, I had a really good time playing Symphonia. That was one where the animation was great.
That one's come up multiple times tonight, which I think is a sign.
So fun.
I'm a sucker for music and adjacent music aesthetic games, and this is one where you're bringing back the music of the world. Your jump mechanic is a violin bow, and it just had such a smooth quality to it. It was one that just feels good under your fingers and looked good, played well. I watched you play it first, and then knowing how to maneuver on it, getting to then act on it. The fact is like, oh, that made it easier, but I think that's a point in its favor. Like, you can learn, observe, and iterate. It was great.
Nice. I'm going to shout out Wilmot Works It Out. This is a puzzle game from Finji. It's a follow-up to an older title, Wilmot's Warehouse. So there's also a board game that I'm not super familiar with. There's a lot of history behind this series, I guess, that I'm unaware of.
Yeah, I saw Wilmot, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so I played it. The basic pitch, real quick, think interactive jigsaw puzzle game. So you're a little block character, and you have packages delivered to your home, and then those packages have pieces of paintings, and then you're putting the paintings together and then displaying them in your home, and it's like really wholesome, really meditative, really relaxing, and there's also some good humor to it. Like, I put together a painting of an octopus holding a bunch of hot dogs.
I love it.
But yeah,
As one does.
Yeah, had a blast with that one. I did essentially like one full level, but I could totally see it being one that you just get a nice cup of coffee on a Sunday morning and just have a nice morning, afternoon vibe with some puzzles. So
I like
recommend
that.
one, yeah.
I love a good puzzle game. It's part
Yeah.
of my like regular gaming diet. Just
Yeah.
something to go to. I like that.
Not every game has to be stressful, and this game was just
absolutely.
chill and nice.
Chill games are stressful for me because I have none chill. But
Sure.
I would love to give it a shot.
Nice.
No,
Another game I wanted to call out, TetherGeist.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, a puzzle precision platformer. Again, back in the style of Celeste, things like that. The fact that you had to do it fast, but you had to plan it out first, made me so happy. There was one part I couldn't get, and I was like, I'm going to do a Hail Mary. I'm going to try something totally different. Got it on the first try, screamed because I was so happy I did it. It was like, oh, guess I like this game, huh?
Speaking on other precision platformers, really enjoyed Telebit over at Tokyo Indie. It's a portmanteau of teleport and rabbit. You're a rabbit with a teleporter, and there's a weird little storyline going on there, and it essentially is the closest I've seen to 8-bit Portal.
Oh, okay.
And damn, it's good.
Okay. You got any more, Luke?
Some quick rapid fire for folks that love a good beat 'em up. I really liked G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra. It was really fun. I also played Jay and Silent Bob Chronic Blunt Punch.
Nice.
Both super fun. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is also on the floor. I haven't had a chance to play one, but I think in addition to the platformers, it's the year of the beat 'em up, which I'm also super on
the
board
throwback
with.
beat 'em up.
Yeah, and all of them controlled well, looked great, music was stellar, so chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And the last one I've got is Croak. Another.
Ooh, Croak.
Yeah,
platformer.
let's go.
It was the second game I played, so we went to Nintendo first, did Zelda, which obviously was also great, but we knew that. And the guys were like, yeah, we launched this 2 weeks ago and we're here. We've never shown it to people. And it was so good. And their booth has been packed ever since, and I'm so pumped for them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Everyone else has played it, and I have not seen it at all. And it's kind of funny that way, but I am looking forward to playing it.
It looks like this.
I know.
Apparently someone told me it was the animators of Cuphead.
Yes,
that worked
yes.
on it,
Yes.
And they're just not
Yes.
telling people that.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's a
They apparently don't need the
Lead with
help.
that. Yeah, they don't.
that game is pretty funny because I remember seeing a teaser at the PC gaming show back at Summer Games Fest, and they were like, one more thing, we have this brand new game to show you, and it was like a 5-second teaser of the game, and I was like, what was that? Like, why would they end it on this game that nobody knows what it is? And now that I've actually gotten to play it, I'm like, I get it now. I get why you teased us on
They
this.
did
'cause
not
this is
convey it
amazing.
well, but it was.
Yeah.
That's
like
why.
Precision puzzle
100%.
platformer with pinball mechanics.
Yeah.
So good.
They definitely
Again,
got
it was
something
hard.
special.
It was hard to pick up. Like, I'm a good platformer, and I was like, wait, I can't get it. Oh, there's a small tongue and a big tongue, and I can figure this out. And then when you get it, you're like, oh, boom, 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 beat the level.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Joseph, do you have any shout-outs we haven't gotten to?
I'll shout out a little game called Threshold. It is
Nice.
a weird horror-esque indie game where I think it's going to be like a shorter story, like a 2 to 3 hour experience. But you start off by being able to pick your country, and I think there are like 20 different flags that you can start out with, and somehow that affects the difficulty. I don't know how, and the PR person would not tell me how that affects the difficulty.
So it's a secret.
It's a secret. They said it was specifically a spoiler to tell you how it affects the difficulty, but
Intriguing.
it's a
All right.
very simple plot, and stick with me here because it's kind of like Overcooked meets some sort of horror narrative game where your job is to go to this high altitude location, and you're outside and you're watching this train, and the train is just going, and your job is just to watch this little stoplight type mechanism, and when it starts flashing yellow or red, that means the train's not going fast enough. You need to blow in your whistle. But because it's like a low atmospheric location, you run out of oxygen very quickly. And if you have to take a deep breath to blow in your whistle, you get lightheaded and you might pass out and die from no oxygen. So you have these little oxygen tubes. You have to bite into this glass oxygen tube to get oxygen. But to get another oxygen tube, you have to complete tasks. And you complete tasks by going to get a ticket and then trading it in for a new oxygen tube in a different location. So it becomes this like Overcooked-esque gameplay loop where you're like running around, keeping the train running while getting your oxygen, while like exploring to uncover other mysteries while not letting any tasks like fail. And it's really fun. And there's this guy, Mo, that's really creepy and weird that gives you information and little tidbits about the lore of this game. So check it out. It's a creepy, scary game, but not like jump scary, I don't think.
It's creeping horror.
Yes. Yeah, and let's just be happy we're no longer using the 3DS blow mechanic, because then otherwise you personally might
die out of oxygen. Yes, absolutely. So before we go, are there any last games you want to shout out? Any last overall experience summaries that you want to shout out for PAX West 2024?
We had a lot of interviews, a lot of things to do, and I've left tomorrow open to just go ham on all of the recommendations that everyone's been saying after we're done with All Systems Dance, and I'm looking forward to all of those.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Same.
Cool.
Great. Well, thank you once again for joining us in our annual Floor 5 of the Summit Building podcast here at Crossplay Conversations. Where can people find you all?
You can find Fun and Games Podcast at Fun and Games Pod on any social media that we're part of. You can find me on most of those social media platforms as well at Geoff Makes Noise, Geoff Makes Noise.
Awesome. And Sarah?
You can't find me on the internet, so just find Fun and
She's
Games
off the
Pod.
grid. She's off the grid.
Don't do it.
Okay, perfect.
Don't do it.
Well, that wraps up round 3. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
And we're back for the final segment at PAX West 2024. Jacob, you have more games. Sorry, there's a dramatic pause because it's a dramatic statement that you're about to make.
Quickly, because I didn't get to talk about that many video games. Y'all talked about Tears of Metal, super dope. I played Time Flies again, which is coming from being published by Panic. Talked to the team. It is like Goose Game but fly. Rad black and white art style. There are moments where you're a fly and you can fly into things or onto things and just cause a bunch of mischief.
For sure.
And your lifespan is based on the country that you are in. So, example, if you are in Canada, your life expectancy will be 80-something seconds, 83 seconds.
Okay.
And if you're in the U.S., you will have 77 seconds per round.
Why? Oh, is that because that's the average?
That's the average life
person?
expectancy of a person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We need to
it's just
step it up.
Just like a checklist Goose Game sort of game, but was rad.
Nice. Okay.
And did y'all talk about Love Eternal?
I believe Roger brought it up, yes.
Love Eternal, but just quickly again, rad game. Reminded me a lot of VVVVVVVV back in the day, but with psychological horror, so dope.
Real quick, too, because you brought up Panic, I wanted to shout out Despelote, which I played this round. Ecuadorian developer, set in the 1990s. It's a slice-of-life adventure narrative style game. All about soccer, family, culture. Really cool period piece. This like low poly, like VHS art style with minimal colors of like emphasis on purples. And there's dream sequences. There's soccer playing. There's these like family dynamics at play. If you loved games like Bemba, I think this is going to hit on a similar note. So I wanted to shout out that one as well.
And I think that's all she
Cooper,
wrote.
anything
Go play
mouthwashing.
Go play that.
Mouthwashing, yes.
Go play that one.
Kai, shout out to you. You're a homie.
Shout out, Kai.
The rest of the team over there. Awesome.
And that's it.
All right, y'all. Let's close this thing out. As always, we're going to ask you to do 3 things for us. Go ahead and send this podcast to a friend because that's how people hear about podcasts. Leave us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. And what is the third thing, Jacob McCourt?
Send this podcast to a friend because that's how people hear about podcasts.
Wasn't that the first thing I said?
Gosh darn
it.
it.
Am I missing one?
And follow us on Twitter.
There we go.
At
Thank you. Thank you.
Because that's where you'll hear updates
I missed
about
up the order. That's
Wait,
what happened.
Before we turn off the video, can we do a 3-way high five?
Yeah.
Because we're all in person.
Here, we'll stand.
Okay, let's stand.
No.
1, 2, 3. Wait, no, it has to be a triangle. 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.